Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Davey Deathray here with our guy Foz Rotten. How are you guys
What's up,
doing
everybody?
tonight? Yeah, we are back with the return of Movie Punks. It's been quite a while, but we've got a really good one here tonight, and a movie that I remember from my childhood, but only remember seeing bits and pieces of. So I rewatched it today. And man, this one is really fun. I can't wait to get into it with Foz here. But I want to say what's up to everybody hanging out in the chat. We've got Chester Franklin. What's happening? How are you doing, Chester? We've got our channel member Big Rod hanging out. He is pumped for Movie Punks. Hell yeah. We've got Paula Fitzhenry. What's happening, Paula? We've got Cheesy Corn Pop with the Dave McRae, Vincent DeSanti icon there. Love to see that. We've got Miss C in the house. What's happening, Miss C? Hope you are having a good night so far. And we got Trisha McMasters, one of our great channel members, Patreon members, and Death Squad mods. We've also got Adrian James popping in. What's happening, Adrian? Hope you are doing well. And yeah, guys, really quick before we get going here, this is mostly going to be like a celebration of, Val Kilmer's career. We just lost him a few weeks ago, and we're going to, focus on that and focus, of course, on talking about how funny and fun Real Genius is. But we did lose a member of the Friday the 13th community today. Lar Park Lincoln, who played Tina in Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, sadly passed away. She was only like 63 years old. So, pretty young. And I don't know about you, Foz, but when I first got into the Friday the 13th movies, I saw them on television. And I loved The New Blood because it's basically cut for TV anyways. And I love the way Jason looks, and I was like into comics and all that stuff, so I love the idea of him sort of fighting almost like a Jean Grey type of character. Do you just want to give your quick thoughts on the passing of Lar Park Lincoln and her impact on the Friday the 13th franchise real quick?
Yeah, man, I love Part 7, same as you. I remember first watching it. It might have been the first Friday the 13th I ever watched, because I clearly remember watching on like USA during like a Saturday marathon or something like that. And I just always liked the telekinetic thing, Carrie versus Jason thing. I thought she was great in it. Had a dude from Weekend at Bernie's in it. It was awesome.
Terry Kaiser, yeah.
And I saw on her obit that like she'd been doing a lot of like stuff with young actors, like training them on how to audition properly and not get ripped off. Like she had a book and everything. So that's totally cool, man. Yeah, it seems like,
once she stepped away from, having, bigger acting roles and everything, it seems like she sort of took that, that kind of teacher and mentor sort of role on, later on. And of course she was in, gosh, I'm totally forgetting the name of the fan film. What was it called? But they brought Terry Kaiser back, I think, as well.
I'm not sure.
They did a fan film like legacy sequel to The New Blood, where she's like in a hospital and she has to deal with Jason again.
I never
for whatever reason.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm totally forgetting what the name of that one is, but yeah, the focus is going to be, of course, on Val and Real Genius. But I know with us being a tight horror community that we couldn't just start the show here and not mention it all. So just wanted to mention that. And then, Foz, moving over to, Val Kilmer's career. I mean, this one might have been, was Top Secret right after Real Genius, or was it right before?
I'm not sure how that came, but I know they're like back to back, because you can look at him in his image and see that it's like the same like time period.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where Top Secret was 84, so the year before. So this is the first time I ever remember, like, I have older siblings that are about 10 years older than me. I remember my oldest sister, Melanie, just sort of swooning over how cute he was and how charming he was. He
was a handsome man.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And And Real Genius to me was sort of, I know Top Gun's a way bigger movie and that's like the true breakout, but I think Real Genius is when he started being, recognized by like, kind of becoming almost like that heartthrob kind of role before really becoming a star in Top Gun. But I just wanted to pass it off to you, talking about just paying tribute or talking about whatever, favorite roles of Val's that come to mind, and any memories or anything like that before we dive into Real Genius talk here.
Val Kilmer was one of those guys to me who was like always there, like Tom Cruise. We were talking about Top Gun, just always there my entire life. He was a movie star, literally from the time I was burst into this earth and could watch a movie on Betamax. He was in those Betamax movies. What was the Legend? He was in Legend, right? Or am I messing that up? Which one was he? Willow. Tom Cruise
is in Legend. Val Kilmer's in Willow. Yeah.
Sorry about that. But yeah, so I knew who he was always, but Real Genius was a movie I had on beta and I watched over and over all the time as a kid. Now Top Secret's one I actually didn't see until I was like probably junior high age, and it was funny and everything, but I haven't went back to it that much, just a couple of times. I liked it, but to me, when I think of Val Kilmer just right off the jump, I think of like his 90s, big time movies of like Tombstone and him and Batman Forever and all that. He's the definition of a movie star to me. And then I think of him playing like himself in a lot of stuff and kind of exaggerated roles, or like he'll play fun roles. Like he played this like pot dealing I always talk about Entourage on this show for some reason, but on Entourage he had a great episode where he was like this like kind of just crazy yoga Buddhist guy with a big beard and long hair, and he had all this weed during a weed drought, and so they had to go to him and put up with all this crazy stuff to get weed. And like I always think of him doing like fun stuff. Like he just seems like he wanted to have fun. And Real Genius is great. I was thinking about this today while I did the rewatch, like you did today. Was he was having fun and he was funny in this, and Top Secret, just like it reminded me of Tom Hanks whenever he was doing like Big and Dragnet before he got into like his series like Philadelphia, Forrest Gump. They kind of had the same trajectory of like young, youthful, fun, funny, type stuff. Bachelor Party, Tom Hanks, and you could say the same thing for like Top Secret, Real Genius, Val Kilmer. And so it's just kind of funny to watch like these youthful young people and then become like the serious actors in the 90s. But I love him in this, man. He's everything from his I Hurt Toxic Waste shirt to his slippers, and everything was like a decision from the movie to like just put him over that one next level of like, I might be doing this, I might be here for a job interview, but I'm not going to take it so seriously. I might be here for class, but I'm not going to take it so seriously. And it really works all the way around.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like he's one of those actors, like you had said, kind of been there for almost like my whole life. Honestly, I didn't watch Top Gun until I was like in my late teens. But as far as watching stuff like Tombstone and Willow, like I feel like I grew up watching Willow numerous times. And then some of his other dramatic roles, like towards the late 90s, early 2000s, like The Salton Sea.
Love that movie.
Wonderland, like that's a really good performance.
That's a crazy movie.
You got to mention his take as Jim Morrison in The Doors.
That was a huge one for me. My mother didn't realize what The Doors was like, the movie. All she knew was she graduated in '69, so she knew The Doors Light My Fire. And she knew Jim Morrison was the rock star who had passed away, but she sang that he sang that song she liked when she was in high school. So she didn't realize that Oliver Stone's The Doors was that, and she actually let me rent that. I remember the VHS, and it was one of those things where she wasn't around whenever all the naked crazy witchcraft was going on, and I'm like, let's make sure she never finds out.
No, the movie is totally wild. It's Oliver Stone loves to get crazy with it, and The Doors were a pretty pretty out there kind of band. But man, I couldn't, when I was a kid, I've said this on the channel before. I think probably right after he had passed and we talked about him. I couldn't tell the difference between him and the real Jim as a kid. Of course, I mean I can now, but there's just something about the way he looked and everything. And I'm pretty I don't know if they just straight up replaced like his vocals or anything like that when he sang in the film. Sure. But I know he sings because in Top Secret he is singing those songs in Top Secret.
You were mentioning Jim Morrison, his portrayal of Jim Morrison. Did you ever see that Saturday Night Live where it was the Behind the Music from Heaven?
I'm sure I think so.
It's great. Look it up on YouTube sometime. He was guesting on there, and it was about Jim Morrison dying, going to heaven, and being in a super group of like Louis Armstrong and all these like dead rock stars, and like what would happen when they would reincarnate. And like at the end, by the time at the end, it was like they're having a reunion now, and it was like a bullfrog, a tree stump, like all this stuff they had reincarnated as, and it was hilarious because he's like spot on doing the same Jim Morrison thing that he was doing in the movie on SNL, and it was just great.
He really commits to the comedy, and I mean, I guess the last thing I'll say about his career outside of Real Genius, guys, if you haven't seen Top Secret, and Foz, I would say if it's been a long time, I highly recommend it. I love those like Abrams and Zucker movies. He just like he does in Real Genius, there's something so smooth and straight about the way he plays the comedy that really, really works for me. And man, he dances his ass off in Top Secret. He sings. He does the whole damn movie. Thing.
Didn't they just put that out on 4K with like a couple of their other movies?
I think they did. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and some of. Once we dive into Real Genius, some of that that family, the whole like Naked Gun, Airplane, Hot Shots, Top Secret family, some of that is here in this movie. So I guess what, real quick before we get going on diving into Real Genius, I do want to say hello to a few people that jumped in a little bit later, or just a little bit after we started getting going here. Brent Madison, one of our great channel members. How you doing, Brent? He says, do yourself a favor and listen to the Real Genius director audio commentary. So good. King Matthew III says, I've never seen this movie, so this will be my first time watching. Well, Matthew, on Movie Punks, maybe someday we will do a watch party. But on Movie Punks, we really just celebrate and talk about the film. But I don't know, Foz, maybe at some point we should do a watch party. That might be kind of fun.
I'm down to clown, buddy.
All right. We got Jamie Hart, our original Death Squad mod and channel member. How you doing, Jamie?
Watch Real Genius in theaters? I need to know.
Yeah, she hasn't said it yet, so I'm kind of nervous, but I figure she must have because it was in 85. So, Jamie, you had to have seen this movie in the theater, right? Let us know. The Oct says 190 days until Halloween. Can't wait. We're almost halfway there. We're getting there. We got Erica in the house. What's happening, Erica? One of our great mods as well. Hope you are doing well. And let's see. Dean Renner, one of our great channel members. What's happening, Dean? And I should say Erica's also a channel member as well. So thank you so much. And I think we're all caught up on people jumping in. Val did his own singing in the Doors, says Manny's Manic Media, another great channel member. That's what got him the part. He showed up to audition as Jim Morrison. Everyone auditioning knew the part was his. There you go. Oh, and then Jamie had said that as well. Well, there you go. Beautiful voice, great performer. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer. Absolutely. There's still movies of his I need to see. I was actually just talking to my brother. He's like, did you ever see The Saint with Elizabeth Shue? And I still haven't seen that, but everyone's been saying it's awesome. So The Ghost in the Darkness, that one's really good too. Yeah.
I was thinking of one. What's the Native American Indian reservation deal? Thunderheart?
Thunderheart. I haven't seen that one, but that's one of the ones that had come up. Okay.
I rented that as a kid from like my regular video store when I was a kid called Stereo Video, and I remember like that became one of those like that for whatever reason I just kept renting and renting and renting, and eventually they were like, "Do you want to buy this?" So I ended up buying the VHS. And it's not even like a kids movie at all. It's a drama.
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of heavy.
There, like kind of crazy stuff in it, and I'm like, for some reason as a kid I love that movie.
Yeah, I was reading about it because somebody had mentioned it when we were talking about him on a stream, you know, just after he had passed. I read about it and I was like, oh, this seems like a really good, like, kind of heavy
it's
drama.
Like a heavy drama with some action in it and everything. It's crazy, man.
I'll have to check it out for sure. I'll have to put that one and The Saint on the list for sure. Yeah,
and don't forget Batman.
Oh, well, of course, Batman. So that's one thing we should talk about really quickly, because even though like when that movie came out, I loved it. Obviously, I was like obsessed with Jim Carrey and everything. And then the older I got, of course, the shine kind of wears off on the movie. But I do think that Val is a really good Bruce Wayne and a really good Batman. Like I think that he works.
He is, and like that's one of those movies that, like you said, when it came out, everybody was into it. Everybody had the soundtrack. Everybody loved all of it. And then as time went on, you were like, well, I don't know. But nowadays, I don't even care, man. I like that movie just as much as any of them. And I maybe it's the nostalgia made it rosy for me, you know, or whatever. But I thought he was great in it. Like I was really
think
bummed when he didn't come back.
Yeah, that's one of the things about the movie when I've gone back to it where I'm like, well, he still works. You know, the movie is definitely a product of its time. And, you know, it's just the movie that was going to be made at that point. Jim Carrey is like, even though I love Jim Carrey, I'm like, even he is over the top for what he usually is. It makes Ace Ventura almost look subtle. Oh, that's beautiful.
I got all the Batman glass mugs from it, but this is my favorite.
Is that from McDonald's?
Yeah, for years I got all four sitting over here, but this is the Tommy Lee Jones Two-Face one. And for years I was like, "Excuse me, I'm going to drink out my Tommy Lee Jones mug."
They did very similar mugs for the Flintstones. I remember where it was like rock,
because
where the handle,
shaped up. Yeah.
Let's see here. Before we jump into our categories to talk about and everything, I just want to say what's up to Happy Sanjo, one of our great channel members. What's happening, Koi? And I thought I saw somebody else jump in, but I think that's it. But it looks like Cheesy Corn Pop is back. So welcome on back. Guys, really quick before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the stream. It helps everything get seen and all that. We've got links for Foz down in the description. So if you want to follow him on YouTube, Insta, or Twitter, you can go ahead and do that.
Dude, I gotta interject something here. I'm sorry to stop the whole thing, Deb. I gotta say something. I think you're burying the lead here, Davey. It has been so long since we did movie punks. You probably don't even have the right stuff for me anymore, homeboy. I got.
Oh my gosh, maybe
Twitter.
not.
That Twitter's still there, but you know what I'm on now? Blue Sky. Everybody hit
Blue
the brother
Sky
on Blue Sky because it's so cool nowadays. It's like what Twitter used to be back in the day, and now it's all about the Blue Sky, baby.
What's funny is I don't even though I've technically had a Twitter for like 9 or 10 years or whatever, however long it's been, I've only used it really since I started the channel. So I don't even know what Twitter used to be like. All I know is Twitter is movie spoilers and people trying to sell their bodies for the most part.
Let's put it this way. I've had my Twitter since the days I used to work in a video store. That's how long I had my Twitter.
That's wild.
And it killed me to stop using it. But finally one day, it just went to pure hell. It went from hell to pure hell. And I just couldn't stand it no more. And I'm really involved in Star Trek Twitter, or what we call Tricky Twitter. And everybody like did this huge mass thing over to Blue Sky. And it's like the old days of Twitter over there. So I'm like, I'm Blue Skying it up, baby. And
I haven't checked it out because I'm like, there's so much to keep track of. I can't get any traction on Twitter anyway, so I don't even really know why I'm there. But sometimes it's honestly, you know what I do on Twitter is I will doom scroll and watch videos of like crazy like car accidents or you know, just weird morbid shit. But yes, it has been so long. So guys, let me make sure I've got I will update all of Foz's links and everything in the description.
Oh, you're fine.
I'll put that
Foz
blue
Rotten
sky
on
in there.
everything. There, you're fine.
Yeah, just look up Foz Rotten.
And I'm on TikTok now, Davey. I might have had TikTok
shit.
before, but I actually use the TikTok now.
Hell yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing I need to get into. Oh my gosh, it can be so overwhelming to be like, I need to create content for this, for that. Honestly, what I need to do is just figure out how to like just shoot the same short, or shoot one short and just share it to all. I think you can pretty much just share from YouTube right over to TikTok. Anyways,
well, what I do is I still upload everything to YouTube. You can find everything like I do on TikTok and Instagram here, as far as like shorts on YouTube. So still, please follow me on and subscribe on YouTube. I've been on here for 15 years and I'm not even to 500 people yet. Cry. But anyways, I just passed 1,000 subscribers over on TikTok. So I'm actually getting some traction over there. I'm over 1,000 on Blue Sky now, and my shorts on there are actually getting some pretty good traction. So that's why I'm trying to like bump up those two things. But you can still find me on Facebook and everything. Everything's Foz Rotten. But I gotta say for a second, Davey, I've missed you, buddy. I have missed you. It's our 1 year anniversary. If people don't know, it's our 1 year month anniversary. I'm not sure of the day, but me and Davey went on our first date a year ago. Okay, I'm just saying.
Yeah, we talked about Night of the Demons too, and I've missed you as well, Foz. It's been a wild, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 8 or 9 months. I was able to keep everything rolling for a little bit, but I know it's been a while since we've done this. But guys, I am rededicating. I know that you've seen a lot more activity here on the Davey Deathray channel, so I've rededicated myself to getting back on these monthly shows with these collaborations. So we've already got one planned for May that's going to be a really special one because we've got a couple guests that will be joining us. So I don't want to spoil that right now, but I'm really pumped to have a couple guests come on and
so it's
and
like
chat.
Whenever you have a big concert lined up with your band and you got to get in that like first concert to like kick off the dust, and before you do the big concert, like that's going to be our big concert. This is whenever you play, the Whiskey a Go-Go before you play like the big place, and everybody comes out, like, oh yeah, fans coming out, they know your name, man. And that's what this is. I'm pumped. We're sort of rechristening the ship here. So I know it's been a while. I really appreciate all y'all showing up and hanging out with us in the chat. So yeah, hit the like button. If you're watching after the fact, go ahead and drop a comment, your favorite memory or favorite scene or what you love about, Real Genius, or even just anything from Val Kilmer's career, of course. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share the channel with somebody who you think would dig this kind of content, of course. And yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right in. For everyone that was hanging out last night during Late Night with the Davey, these categories are going to look very similar because these are sort of like some of these categories you can just talk about with any movie. So I figured we could sort of just get everything going with the setup and story. Now, I thought when you read the description of the plot of the movie, I thought it was going to be like so much more intense, but it's relatively lighthearted. And basically you've got this genius kid that's going to go to college at 15, and he's going to be roomed with Val Kilmer's character, who's like the biggest genius they've known in like a decade. And he's working on this, laser, and basically they've got like a crooked professor that wants to sell the technology to some like offshoot of the US military to use for nefarious purposes. So, and then of course mixed into that, this is 1985, so this is pure, like it's not a sex comedy or anything. There's a little bit of that flirty element here, but it is, I got some things to say about that. Yeah, it is just sort of like your wacky goofball, college campus 80s comedy. And Pat Proft, who was one of the writers on this film, he was a writer for Police Squad, the Naked Gun films. I believe he directed and wrote Wrongfully Accused with Leslie Nielsen, which is another fun one, and the Hot Shot movies. So there's a whole bunch of
it's not a parody film, but there's a
Mhm.
very similar. There are some lines that Val has here that kind of remind me of like a little bit of Frank Drebin delivery. What do you have to say about the setup and the story here, Foz?
Well, I will say this. The director, I forget her name right off, but it's the director of Valley Girl. And I can tell, I mean, I don't know, but just in my thoughts.
Martha Coolidge.
This seems to me like the story was written and the studio greenlighted maybe like a Revenge of the Nerds top movie with a little more TNA and everything. And then when she came on, she's like, "That's cute. I'm gonna make this a real movie." And like it put a more soft tone to it, while it still had some of those. It's an 80s college party. Woo, look at these nerds hooking up with chicks. And it still has a little bit of that. But then, like, they took pieces from other stuff. It's like, you got Homeboy from Die Hard and Ghostbusters, who was the asshole. And you give him, like, his best asshole performance ever. And, and it's almost so... Some of the scenes are so over the top that if somebody else did them, it would be like the commercials in RoboCop over the top. But she... plays it with like a little like let's downplay it a little, and they could have re-edited this like so easy. Like in the main beginning of the movie, whenever they're watching the dude get nuked from space, that's what really remind me of like the RoboCop thing. And then it comes, and so you're watching that movie for the first time, and you're like, what's going on? And then it goes out to all these military men sitting there like, oh yeah, let's have lunch, let's get coffee. That very good, bring this to me earlier. And like you're like, okay, I get it. And the one guy says, "Oh no, I don't want any part of this." And they're like, "Well, he used to be a good man. Shame we have to liquidate him." It could have been done one of two ways, and she softened it. Or it would have been like way broad spectrum out there.
Yeah, that threat of the of the offshoot. I don't even know. You don't really know what kind of organization they're about, because they're basically like, we don't even want to tell the president. It's like they're working with the military. They're like independent contractors.
At one point, one of them said, should we bring in any federal jurisdiction, something like that on this? And one of the guys goes, well, we're CIA. We're federal jurisdiction or whatever, but CIA isn't supposed to work within the state, so that adds the extra little it's CIA, not FBI, type deal.
And they're basically like gangsters. I would say it's sort of, I'm glad you brought up the RoboCop element, because I definitely had that. There's a dark comedy vibe to that opening, and then also a little Doctor Strangelove, which is another dark comedy, because they're all sort of sat around that dark room, like making decisions for the world, and it's just like 5 or 6 dudes like making these terrible decisions, and basically you get the idea right then and there that if you don't do what they want you to do, they will kill you. But the cool thing about the movie is they're not really that much of a looming threat. It's pretty much just the professor, the guy that you had mentioned. It's the actor's name is William Atherton, the guy that has no dick in Ghostbusters. And they're basically like, the pressure is all on him. He's the one that's like feeling the heat. They're basically like, if you don't deliver this laser, we're gonna kill you. But the whole rest of the movie is very like, pretty lighthearted. Like you said, it's softened up, but it is still really funny. Like, this is a pretty damn funny movie, and like Val is incredibly charming. He does use some of the language, like some of the like sexual kind of humor sort of comes out of nowhere. There's a line in there where he's hitting on one of the CIA guys' daughter, and he's like, if there's anything I can do for you, or to put it straightforward, do to you, and she's like, well, can you hammer in a what does she say, a 6-inch spike with your dick or penis, with your penis?
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like trying to picture how difficult and painful that would be. And but it just sort of, I don't know. It just sort of flies by. It's not dirty like Porky's or anything. There's something very like innocent and just fun about it.
Did you notice the callback to that later, whenever it's revealed that the Dickless is sleeping with her, and he's like, I'll let you get back to your hammering.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's there. That's the fun thing too, is like, this movie takes all the genius stuff, like all the smarts, like it does take pretty seriously. You can tell it's, I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm a friggin' scientist and everything that they say is absolutely correct, but you can tell that the people that wrote this movie are pretty nerdy too, because they they certainly like work that into the story and into the dialogue. Val, what is his name? Chris Knight, is that the character's name? Chris Knight is like, he's super like charming and quippy and quick, and the kind of guy that you want to be,
Oh yeah. And it's
so I guess I'll just
type of guy every lady wants to be with and every man wants to be.
Yeah, of course. No, he's very, it's so funny. It's like every time he starts talking to a woman in this movie, they immediately bite their lip as if that was like part of the direction. But it might have just been something that was intrinsically, happening. just a natural reaction.
Hey, if it was 1985, Val Kilmer coming up to me, I'm like, all right, buddy, whatever, man.
Well, and he has this, honestly, like sometimes you watch these 80s movies and you're like, oh my, like you're embarrassed by the hairstyles of the fashion or whatever. But I'm like, man, his haircut's like actually pretty cool and sort of something that would be like kind of relevant now, like almost something an athlete would have, like the buzz on the side. Yeah. It's not quite, it's like almost a mullet, but not really. Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on about how charming he is in this movie, but I want to make sure to give a little attention to some of the other performers. This guy, Gabriel Jarrett, that plays Mitch Taylor, the other male lead. I don't think I've ever seen this guy in anything else.
I was going to ask you, has he been in anything else? I literally don't know nothing.
So it looks like he's had some smaller roles. Poseidon, Apollo 13, Frost Nixon, just really small ancillary kind of characters that I'm seeing here.
So you're saying Clint Howard was billed over him in Apollo 13?
Absolutely, yes. Oh, he was in an episode of Freddy's Nightmares.
Perfect.
Episode of LA Law, which I, saw as a kid, kind of grew up watching. But really not very much, episode of 21 Jump Street, just little bit parts here. But he's really good.
Does it say 21 episode,
Jump Street. Yeah, he is on, let's see here. Where'd that go?
I'm racking my brain.
The episode is called, oh, it's not going to bring it up for me. Sorry. I thought it was going to bring up the actual episode, but it didn't. But he's a really good, it's like a really good pairing, he and Val in this movie. Again, he's supposed to play a 15-year-old genius, one of the smartest people like ever. And he's kind of like the audience's, point of view. Like you're going in this new situation and you don't really know what to expect. And he's got a nice little character arc where he's a little stuffed shirted at the beginning, learns how to let loose, but still like doesn't really lose who he is. And gets a cute little girlfriend that's all like wired and hyperactive. Yeah, just another really good performance here that I think most people just only talk about Val Kilmer when they talk about this movie. So I wanted to shine a light on that.
That was another thing that reminded me of Revenge of the Nerds, because who's got to remember around this time, like Porky's and Revenge of the Nerds that came out, and everybody's like, I want that. I want one of those.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of like Wormser, like the little kid in Revenge of the Nerds that gets sent off to college, becomes best friends with Lamar. And I'm like, man, I could see where they got the idea for this from, like Wormser, and just kind of took it and put it there.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, they've got everything. They've got like, they've got. I think there's only really one scene with him. Maybe he pops up a couple times, but there's like an Asian character that he makes the ice that is like the ice rink in the dorm.
Like third person of the group, really, because he's at the end and he looks over at the main end. He looks at Chris Knight and he goes, oh, do you think it's getting what does he say, weird around here or whatever? And Chris Knight's like, absolutely. Oh, yeah. So he's there throughout.
Yeah, he sort of pops in and out because there's like the good guy kind of cohorts, but then there's like the three guys they're not all really like bad guys. It's really just the one guy that's the bad guy, but they're always together. Yeah. There's Kent is sort of like, even though the professor is there to essentially steal the technology and all that, he just is sort of peppered in. The real villain of the film is the guy Kent. That's sort of the lackey. Kent is like the suck up to dickless professor, and so he's sort of, and there is a little bit of that, like you said, with Revenge of the Nerds. There's that back and forth pranking that goes on. That's a big thing in 80s movies as well. That's kind of a big motif here. And then
that was just all the way into the 90s with like Men at Work and stuff, like people just playing pranks on each other, like, and there's no repercussions to any of it. Like, what would the actual repercussions be to taking a person's car apart, putting it back together in their dorm room, and like having it go?
Yes,
dude, somebody be expelled for that.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. That's a pretty funny prank. I love it.
And the whole like sitting there, like that would be so harsh. Imagine you're sitting there eating dinner, and all of a sudden your phone call to your mother crying comes over the speakers, and like I'm like, that dude, that's how schools get some trench coats up in there. I'll put it like that. So
it is, yeah, and bullying was so much more widely accepted in the 70s and 80s, right?
it's just like, and I'm not saying, like it couldn't happen or anything, but that's so extreme. That reminds me of like, if that was a sleepaway camp type movie and that thing happened, that's the thing to set Angela over the top and just start killing people. It's like,
the burning. Burning is same.
Yeah.
That's the difference between a comedy and a horror, right? Is in comedies, the pranks are like, there's no consequences. And then in horror, there's every single consequence to the prank.
Okay, so check this out. In the comedy, it's, you got to get Kent back. It's a moral imperative. Okay. Yes. Now in a horror movie, it's, you have to get Kent back. It's a moral imperative.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's how it is. There's a thin line between comedy and horror.
Exactly.
And real quick, I wanted to bring up, oh my gosh, I lost it there. Michelle Mayrank, who plays Jordan. She is, she's Mitch's, it's Mitch, right?
Yeah.
Mitch Taylor. She's Mitch's girlfriend. And you know what? I'm kind of surprised that I didn't recognize this actress because she's in The Outsiders, she's in Revenge of the Nerds, and she's in Valley Girl. So a couple movies we've already mentioned. So she had a nice little run there from 83 to 85 with those 4 films. It looks like she stopped acting in the late 80s, but she's really good here as well. She's got a crazy good energy. She's really cute without being so good looking that she seems unattainable.
Right.
Although she might be a little too old for Mitch. What do you have to say about that, Foz?
I was thinking about that. In 1985, it's like he might be a 15-year-old boy, but a 19-year-old girl's just fine for that. Nowadays, it doesn't fly so easy.
And 19 at the youngest, because she has said that she has had a roommate that the roommate had to like leave the school because of her. So it sounds like she's been in college for a little bit. So I don't know.
So like if everyone there, if like Chris Knott is a senior, because he said he started there in 81 and now it's 85, so he's a senior, he's graduating. Mitch, left high school to go in mid, and that's another thing. This isn't even the fall semester. This is the second half of the school year.
Okay, that's
going
true.
Into, so his girlfriend might be a freshman or a sophomore, and because she's been there for a while, everybody's in it. They know everything. And the thing I feel bad for is Mitch is doing this like senior work, the same work as all these seniors. Is he going to graduate the same as them? Because he's going to have the exact same experience and everything as these seniors. So that's the question. They did the same final exam. Does he have a job waiting for him out there?
Yeah.
Like Chris Knight did? Like what?
That's true. That's true.
They never mentioned that. Or does he have 3 more years to go? And what's he going to do then? And also, are they going to get expelled for the stunt that they did? It might be one of those things like, dude's in trouble with the government or whatever, but at the same time, they did this to a faculty member.
Yeah, they could also get arrested for domestic terrorism or something.
Totally. They mess with the government. They would be, right now, they'd be out of the country. Let me tell you that much.
Well, and here's the thing, going back to what we were just talking about with the pranks, is it, there's no consequences. All that happens is everyone gets to take a wagon full of popcorn, back to their house. and everything's
Would
great.
you-
They have like a
would you
party
eat that-
in the popcorn.
Dude, would you eat that dirty popcorn that people's been swimming in and it's busted out of the house and on the ground? I would.
That's not what bothers me. What bothers me is like what's in that laser. Is it is it like radiated popcorn? That's what is more concerning to me. Is am I going to get sick immediately from just being around this popcorn?
I have like a 10, 15-year-old microwave. That laser's probably cleaner than my microwave.
Because guys, if you haven't seen the movie, basically like there's a laser that these guys are developing that the professor wants to steal so they can do like these targeted assassinations, basically. And they find that out, so they're like, well, we're gonna just the professor hates popcorn, that's established in the film, and they just like have this huge like Jiffy Pop thing basically in the middle of his house that they shoot the laser onto the Jiffy Pop. His house is literally exploding from the popcorn, just breaking the whole thing apart. So that, just in case you've never seen the movie and you want to know what the hell we're talking about.
Okay, so I want to say this: the difference between 80s parents and today's parents. Those 80s parents were like, "Go ahead, kids, go play in this dilapidating house with popcorn coming out of it, and eat all the popcorn you want, and then go drink from the fire hose." Today's parents would be like, "Get this out of here," calling the cops, like they're keeping their kids away. This is a terrorist act, like you were saying. Like, no way. But I can honestly say that if this happened whenever I was a kid, my mom would be like, "Bring me some popcorn."
Yeah, no, absolutely. They seriously, kids are filling up their like radio flyer wagons with popcorn. Yeah. And the soundtrack plays Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Oh no, his phone fell down.
I'm good.
What's happening? Is the cat...
My
cat's
cat
giving you
has
trouble?
been messing with me this whole time, and
I thought I heard something.
He just knocked over something, and I'm like, "Ah."
Well, I want to say, let me just say what's up to a few people that have joined us. We got Jigsaw. What's happening, Jigsaw? We got Herbert Geddes. How you doing, Herbert? Antonis Andriotis, one of our great channel members, as well as Denise Wheat, another channel member and Patreon member as well. Billy Judd, what's happening? Cody Snyder, our great channel member and Death Squad mod. Prince is in the chat as well. Antonis dropping a $2 super chat just to say, "Hey Davey, what's up, bro?" Well, thank you so much, Antonis. You don't have to drop the super chat. Well, yeah, nothing for Foz. Not $2 for Foz.
Ain't worth 2 pence.
What's happening, Antonis? Yeah, guys, sometimes, you know, when I go live solo and everything, I pay so much attention to the chat. So sometimes when I have a guest on, you know, we take a little break and say what's up to everybody. So don't feel like you've got to throw $2 out there to have me say what's up back, but I sure do appreciate it, Antonis. Thank you so much.
That reminds me, Davey, I have to do this call out. Who was it? It was a few months back, a couple months back. Somebody gave a super chat and said that they wanted us to do a Cuffs thing, a watch along or a movie punks episode for Cuffs. And I remember they did a super chat, and you were like, "Yeah, I'm all on that." And I'm sitting there going with my Cuffs Blu-ray, going, "Yeah, Davey, when are we doing that?" So we got to do it, buddy.
Was that maybe that wasn't like Cody Dude Who Loves Movies, Cody, was it?
No, I think it was the other Cody. Like, hey, Cody, let us know. Was that you?
Cody, was that you?
Cuffs? If
Everyone,
it is, just let us know when you're good, and we can do that. We'll bring you on.
Yeah, I remember really digging that movie, but I only saw it like as a kid, and so it's been brought up a couple other times. I would like to check it out again
because it's become this thing every time we're talking about like movie. Have we done Gleaming the Cube yet? I don't remember.
No.
If not, we need to do that real fast in a hurry on the ledger. But every time we talk about Christian Slater, I end up talking about Cuffs.
That's just what happens. You have to, right? Ryan Olashow, just want to say what's up to you as well. Jamie Hart says that popcorn gag rules, and she would eat the popcorn. She likes to be living on the edge.
You can't help yourself. Sorry.
The popcorn gag, it's sort of like when that happened, I was like, oh man, Dirty Work is one of my favorite comedies, and they do the popcorn gag a couple times in Dirty Work, and I'm like, I wonder if that's a little nod to Weird Science here.
Oh, dude,
I don't
and
know.
Weird
Or
Science
not
is
Weird
definitely.
Science, Real Genius.
I was
I'm
going to
just
say Weird Science. I
on
think came out
autopilot.
after this, if I remember.
Yeah,
But
I'm
it was
on
definitely
autopilot.
influenced by Real Genius. Like there's
Oh,
so
for
many
sure.
similarities.
It's like
So
the
much
same.
so. So
Yeah.
much so that when the professor comes in and breaks up and yells at Mitch about the party and breaks up the party, it was remind me of like Chet with the girls, like messing with
Yeah.
the girls and like, please, Chet, leave her alone. In my head, for some reason, I always think that he's going to do something to like Mitch's girlfriend in the movie.
Yeah. No, it does have a similar vibe. And even, I think just for me, the reason why I tripped up there is just the name. Real Genius, Weird Science. It's very, yeah. Matt Arnett is in the house. What's happening, Matt? Hope you're doing well. And I think we are all caught up with everyone. It was Cody Snyder that said cuffs. Okay. So Cody, we've already got May set, but let's plan cuffs for June.
Hell yeah.
Let's do that. Cody says I'm a Christian Slater fanboy. Cody is a tried and true fan of so many great underappreciated actors and actresses. Yeah, I love that about Cody. Absolutely. Let's see here. Looks like we're all caught up. So, we've had our chat about characters and performances.
Hold on. We didn't mention my favorite character in the movie. I'm blanking on his name right now, so let's call him Uncle Rico, living in the closet.
Oh yeah, that is Uncle Rico.
Holyfield? Is
Laszlo? Laszlo
Thank you, honey.
Holyfield. Yeah. John Grice.
Yeah, dude. No, he's my favorite because in the 80s he was on it, man. He was in Monster Squad. He was in Fright Night 2. He was in this. Like, Homeboy is like one of my favorite dudes. And then like he just got blown up real big as Uncle Rico in like the early 2000s. And you can still see him popping up everywhere.
Yeah, I'm looking at his IMDb right now. It looks like he was in the third Taken movie. He's
on episode of Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy, all right.
Yeah, but he's in
the White Lotus. 18 episodes of the White Lotus.
Yeah, I haven't watched that, but I've heard he's in that. I know he was in like a regular on one of those like ABC, CBS type shows that I never watched, but I heard he was a regular for a while on one of those.
There's one called Dreamcore LLC. I've never heard of it, but he's in 30 episodes of that.
There you go. It's that secret TV that you never hear about, but they make money off of it. So like it goes forever.
The Pretender, 82 episodes of The Pretender. I think that must be the one you're thinking of. Yeah.
There you go. What is that one show that's around right now with Queen Latifah? I love Queen Latifah, but I've never really watched the show. It's based off the movies and the old TV show. Is it she plays a tough gal? Yeah, it's the Denzel Washington movies that are out. There's like 3 of them now, and it's based off the old TV show. I searched with an E. I can't think of the name. But anyway,
The Equalizer. The Equalizer.
Yeah,
there you go.
That thing is up to like 7, 8 seasons now. I'm like, what?
That's wild.
Get your money, Queen Latifah. Get your money. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Although I could never believe that she could really do those moves in real life. But if you choreograph it.
Speaking of that, Adam, what's his name? Adam Goldberg, I think it is, from like Dazed and Confused and the Hebrew Hammer and all that stuff. He is in that show as like her tech guy. I saw when I watched a little bit of it. I'm like, that's where he's been. I'm like, I used to see him pop up and stuff, and then you go and do a decade worth of CBS shows, and you make your money, and no one knows where you are. But
there you go. Yeah, because I stopped watching like network TV after I was basically out of high school.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, that's funny that you bring up Uncle Rico here. Jamie Hart says closet dude rules. I think that's a really fun like
my favorite dude
kind of 80s thing in there. And then of course when he finally figures out how to get behind the closet, and there's like a little cart that like takes you down, or there's an elevator that takes you down, and then you have to get in like a little mine cart kind of thing.
Hold on, I got a practicality question. So whenever Mitch goes into the closet and figures out he has to shut the closet door for the thing to open, right? The cart that he has to get into is already there. but Laszlo is down the bottom. So is there another one that comes up whenever he goes down there? Or if not, does Laszlo have to push a button for it to come back down for him? Because every time he goes down, it goes back up. What is the deal?
Ooh,
and if
that's
there's
a
only
continuity
one,
error.
he has to have like an extra ladder or something to climb up, I'm sure. And like
Yeah.
And also this time, I never thought about this as a kid, but this time while I'm watching, I'm like, homeboy had to have like blueprints of the college and be like,
Yeah.
okay, so there's a gap here. I can go down in between, and then I can go to this little hole right here in the boiler room.
But they do make a point, or at least Val Kilmer's character Chris says that Laszlo is scored like better than him and Mitch combined on the tests. So they do make a point that he's like he's the number
smartest
one genius. Yeah. Of all time. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and skip back to the end here. I know we're skipping all around. We need to do like a concise thing, but I'll go ahead and say this.
No, you're
One
cool.
of the weirdest parts of this movie was Rayanne's mom from My So-Called Life. It's how I always describe her. But it's Rayanne's mom from My So-Called Life. She's this woman. At the beginning, it's implied she sleeps with Chris Knight whenever he's interviewing for that job because he's like part of the top 10 most...
She slept with a whole bunch of them.
Genius,
right?
Yeah. And like she's working her way through the top 10. And so then she tries to go after Mitch. And she says she's been waiting 3 years for it, which means she's been waiting 3 years since he was 12 years old, her, an adult woman, to finally him be 15 years old, I guess. And then he turns her down. Good on you, Mitch. And goes for the girl he likes. But then at the end, she's with Laszlo. What'd she do? Just walk into the closet and find him, I guess, because it never shows that. But she said that she'd been waiting on him, that he's her number one guy. And I'm like, wow, good for you, Laszlo. You won all these prizes. You got your new wife. Like this is the Laszlo story right here.
Yeah, it is. I think what it is that he has been kind of a hermit down there, just doing his like Frito-Lay's scheme and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And that he hasn't really been doing much other than, he finally helps these guys out because he has the sudden realization that like what they're working on there's no way it can have like a peaceful, practical purpose to it. Wow, what an little alliteration that I didn't plan there. So I think that's what sort of like brings him out, So she just has probably been looking for him and had no idea that when she was trying to get with Mitch that he was just right, beneath her.
So I have this scene in my head of what happened that didn't get filmed or written, but I think that he left her and Mitch left her in the room, and he went to his girls thing. And then when she's sitting there all disappointed, all of a sudden Laszlo comes out of the closet,
walks in,
and she's like, "Oh my God, are you Laszlo?"
Maybe. Yeah, that could be it. She probably has like some sort of like physical Facebook for all these people because she's kind of a creep.
Yeah.
I'm seeing here because I'm looking at her IMDb. Her name is Patty Darbinville.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, My So-Called Life, of course. She was in The Sopranos for a few episodes. She was in Guiding Light, the soap opera, for 27 episodes. New York Undercover, 76 episodes.
She was. That's right. I always talk to her about My So-Called Life, but yes, I love New York Undercover. She was the captain. Like, imagine Joe Pantoliano and Bad Boys. She was there, Joe Pantoliano. And they'd be like, Cap, I don't know if I can do this down at the jazz club tonight. Biggie's playing.
Yeah. And she's also in, just to tie it into our horror part of the community as well, she was in I Know What You Did Last Summer as Mrs. Shivers. She's uncredited, but she was in that film as well. So
nice.
Looks like she's still going. She was in, or at least she was in Billions.
Was she the mom? Was she Leonardo DiCaprio's mom in Basketball Diaries, or am I mixing that up with somebody else?
Ooh, I don't know. What year was that?
94?
Was that late 94?
Yeah. It was.
I don't see her there.
Movie. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see her there.
I might be mixing her up with the girl from Goodfellas and Sopranos. I always kind of mixed her up with the doctor from Sopranos. They're very similar.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So yeah, that's the creep doctor that ends up with Laszlo. And he just gets like he wins all those prizes from the Frito-Lay thing because you don't have to purchase to enter. And then they're moving to like Wyoming to some like off the grid kind of spot. So a little ahead of its time with all that.
Dude, I want to hang out with them. Like, just imagine going up there. He'd have like a Pee-wee's Playhouse type thing to where everything's like mechanical and doing all this weird.
Everything's a Rube Goldberg machine. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's happening, Leanna? How are you doing? One of our great channel members and Death Squad mods. Hope you're having a great week thus far. Let's see here. What else do we got? We were talking about the climax there for a little bit. So yeah, we figured that the professor here, Professor Dickless, he goes to jail for fraud and for treason and all sorts of terrible things.
Tears for Fears plays, and it's like I cannot hear that song without thinking of that scene.
And okay, so that's another thing that I want to talk about. So I do want to bring it over just to like the sound design, whatever. The music. This movie awesome. Has a banger soundtrack here. There are some songs I recognize, some songs that I don't, but all of the songs, like, I had a really fun time with. I mean, the opening track, the You Took Advantage of Me, is a sweet kind of little jazzy lounge kind of thing, just to sort of foreshadow what's about to happen to these, genius college students.
My favorite
Summertime Girls.
Yeah, Summertime Girls is great. I like the what's the montage song? That's like the
that one's number one.
Number one, okay.
Right? Where he's going through like being number one is like is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, I love that song.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I mean, All She Wants to Do Is Dance is like, I'm not the biggest Don Henley fan, but it fits the scene really well.
It reminds me of like something in like Caddyshack where it's like, all right, let's party.
Yeah. Hey everybody, we're gonna get laid. One Night Love Affair by Bryan Adams. I'm a fan of Bryan Adams. I really like his smoky, scratchy voice. That's a really good one. And yeah, of course, I mean, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Like, and it's the perfect song to close the movie out on because of the subject matter. So and again, I mean, this movie just it's like quintessential 80s comedy. I mean, really all it's missing is gratuitous nudity, but it does so well without any of that. So,
and dude, I'm telling you, if it wasn't for this director, I think they would have like really pushed for it and upped the ante on it. But she like softened it, down to where it could be like to where it didn't just have to be a guy movie. Like, and Valley Girl, just in the same respect, Valley Girl's not a girl movie. It's a coming of age, cool teen new wave movie. Real Genius isn't a dude movie, like another Revenge of the Nerds type movie, which you could fairly say in some parts it's a dude movie, And this is like for everybody. Me and my wife watched it today. She enjoyed it. I've seen it a bazillion times. This is her first time watching it in 2025. She dug it, and like. And the 4K looks fantastic, by the way. It's my first time checking out the 4K that came out.
Nice. Yeah, and this, I mean, it's a PG movie, but it is, I'm kind of surprised. It's like, I think if it came out today, it would be PG-13. It was probably
pre-PG-13 or just right around the PG-13.
Right around then.
Coming out. Like, because Goonies was PG,
just because some of the sex chat, chat would probably get it PG-13 nowadays. But yeah, I mean, the amazing soundtrack, just, great characters. This one's just really fun and easily digestible, I will say. I don't know. Gosh, I mean, what else can we say about Real Genius here? Do you have anything that we've missed or anything like that you want to make sure to mention?
Jesus talks to Ken, not God. Because Kent, what was his name? Kent doesn't warrant God. He gets Jesus. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty funny prank where they put a speaker on his braces. I don't even. It's like a nanotechnology. I don't know. I mean, it is pretty damn funny. He's he's a pretty gullible villain there for believing that. Have you been touching yourself? He's like, yes. I mean, no.
One of my favorite back and forth, just quippy writing, was you were talking about the dudes that hang out with Kent earlier in the science lab, as whenever Professor Dickless comes in, and the one dude's like telling the stories like, I told him you better class. He told me and he said, shove it. And I said, we're going to get in trouble. He said, shove it. And he goes, very good. You didn't even have the stuttering. And it's just back and forth. And he's like, I've been doing electroshock. You need to increase the voltage. And it was just like so quippy back and forth. I was like, I love this. This is great.
The professor is such a jerk. Like right away at the beginning of the movie, when he walks into the science fair and like people start kind of, they want his autograph because he's on a TV show and all that. Mm-hmm. It reminded me of the Kenneth Branagh character in Chamber of Secrets, the Harry Potter movie. He's like the celebrity, but like all the chicks are like fawning all over him. I kind of like, part of me is, the movie's an hour and 40 minutes long, so it's plenty long enough for a comedy. But I was sort of thinking that I was assuming the professor would play a bigger role in like the villainy. But he's just kind of got his hand in there. He's not really pushing it along, but and he even kind of looks like Kenneth Branagh now that I think about it a little bit. But yeah, this movie is, I recommend this one. I mean, if you haven't seen Real Genius and you're a fan of 80s comedies, I think this one is a pretty easy watch. It's appropriate for most ages.
And I was thinking about this. You know how we always try to tie in punk rock to this? I got a couple things I gotta say. Chris Knight's the most punk rock character that you could have. He's so freaking cool. Like he is just a punk rock dude taking nothing in life seriously, and then having morals at the end. That he wasn't going to let the man take his work and do bad stuff with.
That's true.
And also I was going to mention this. It's very much like more new wave type 80s movie, but there were two distinctly punk rock women at the bar when they go into to eat at the bar to get burgers that were fighting at the pool table. So
they're fighting, yes.
There's fun.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think I do think that Chris Knight is kind of a punk rock. He is a punk rock character because he even says that, when he first came to the school, he was like all stuff shirted and everything. And so he's sort of realized that like, following his own compass is, the way to go. And it doesn't say anything about his intelligence that he doesn't take everything in life like too seriously. There's even, there's a certain, I had mentioned like, the Leslie Nielsen, Frank Drebin kind of charm with like the, this dry, straight humor. But there's a little bit of that, like that charm that reminds me of like, Chevy Chase and Fletch or Caddyshack, the way that Val delivers the lines and the way that he performs the character. There's just something effortlessly charming about the performance right away. Like he cracks a joke like almost immediately.
One of my favorite jokes where it's just like an immediate comeback to something is whenever the professor was like, whenever you first come here, I thought you were going to be the next Albert Einstein. He goes, yeah, I cut my hair. And it was just so funny where it's like, you might not even catch it the first two times you see the movie. But I was sitting there going like, that was hilarious.
Yeah, no, he's, what is he, like, when he goes to the professor's house after he's pulled, after he pulls the car prank. He goes to the professor's house, and the professor is basically like, you're out of here. You're up. Like you're gonna fail even if you pass the test. I'm gonna fail you, and like I suggest you leave. And he's like, well, that's an interesting way to start a conversation.
Yeah,
just like every little bit that they give Val, he really utilizes here. It's really fun stuff. Yeah, I'm glad I rewatched it because I think I probably saw it in the background or something when I was a kid. I've seen scenes here or there when it would replay on TV. But this is the first time I can say, like, with all certainty that I actually, sat down and paid full attention to this movie. And it's a really good kind of 1-2 for, Top Secret, Real Genius. I think is a good kind of combo, before you get into leading man heartthrob, Val Kilmer.
Yeah. Dude, all day long, I would watch it. I want to go back and look at his IMDb and see what other movies of this type were around this time, because there has to be something else I haven't seen, even if it's like a smaller role.
Have you seen The Salton Sea?
Like, oh yeah, that was a blind buy DVD for me. I remember at Walmart back in the day when you would just like walk in and go, "All right, what am I getting today? Well, this looks awesome. Looks like Val Kilmer has a mohawk. I'm buying this today. It's on the new release shelf."
Yeah. No, that one's really good. That one kind of blew my mind when I saw it. That was one of those where I was like, man, I didn't know that Val Kilmer had like those sorts of chops, just based on what I had seen like leading up to that.
I still have that
and then
DVD. I think because I remember having it, and just I'll occasionally just pull it out and be like, "Oh yeah, this."
Yeah, it's a really good one. I need to I definitely need to check out The Saint, Thunderheart. I need to check that one out as well.
That's a
and
great
there's
one,
probably a few more. It's been a long time since I've seen like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. It would be cool to go back and check that one out. Because that's Shane.
One come out
Shane Black.
He had one come out a few years ago that I never got to watch. It was after his throat was already messed up, and he played. I've never seen it, so I don't know if he's a bad guy in it, a killer in it, or what. But he's like the weird, mysterious guy I remember from the trailer, and he had like this long hair, and like his voice was real messed up because it was his real voice in real life, and I remember them being like Val Kilmer's coming back or whatever, and I don't know what kind of movie it was. I've never watched it, but I know it was like a darker, dramatic type role. And I was like, that's totally cool. And then, of course, I don't know if you saw the new Top Gun that he was in, but he was in that one scene. It was really cool.
Yes, that was a great living tribute. It was really cool that they got to do that. That it wasn't just his picture in the background or something like that. So yeah, that was definitely like. I mean, I thought that movie was a really fun experience overall, but that was definitely pretty emotional, goosebump kind of moment there. I need to check out the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. I never saw that, but he plays Bluntman there.
Yes,
check that one out.
Yes, he's in that, because I remember watching that, and around the time that they filmed it, Kevin was like, "I got Batman in my movie." That's actually a good movie, dude. It's really is.
It's good. I like the sillier Kevin Smith movies are the ones that do it for me. When he tries to get serious, like he really loses me, because he gets like not that he really has subtlety, because his comedy is pretty like wacky, but when he tries to be serious, there's just nothing subtle about it, and
I like it all. I'm a fanboy, but I will say this: he literally just does Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and makes no apologies for it, and it's just an updated version of that, and it's hilarious the whole way through.
All right, well, that's one of my favorites. I mean, I would say like Mallrats and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back are my two favorites of his. I mean, I think Clerks is great too, but the Mallrats, I mean, that's amazing. We're gonna have to cover that at some point.
I was gonna say that's a definite one. Like, and that's one of those with the soundtrack we always talk about. We bring that up.
Oh yeah,
all the time.
Squirt Gun,
soundtrack,
all.
Yeah.
Letters to Cleo are on there.
The Build Me Up Buttercup cover is fantastic.
Absolutely. Cody asks, Foz, will you and the missus make it to Lexington this October?
Now, is that Scarefest that you're referencing?
I think that's the one they do there in Kentucky, right?
Well, there's a couple. I've not been to a Scarefest. I hear about it every year. I would love to. I often go to either Lexington Comic Con, which might even be in the same venue. I haven't been in a couple years, but I know the people who put that on. They are the owners of the Inner Geek in Ashland, Kentucky, my favorite comic book store. If you ever see me post from like a comic book store pickups I got from the Inner Geek. And so a lot of the people that work there are the people that put on Lexington Comic Con. So we go to that. They used to put on Huntington Comic Con, and it's the second biggest town next to me is Huntington, West Virginia. And that was great. It was kind of like a mini Lexington Comic Con, but Lexington Comic Con's super huge. It's like any of the other big Comic Cons. And then there's also Horror Hound from Horror Hound Magazine. They do Horror Hound Weekend every a couple times a year, and that is in like Cincinnati, which is in the general area. So a lot of times I'll either go to Lexington Comic Con or Horror Hound or both. So I never really get to Scarefest, but this might be the year if enough people go. I've heard, Garrett from Born to Be Rad talked about thinking of coming out to it and meeting up with the Dead Pit guys, because I always like running into the Dead Pit guys at stuff. So
it sounds like Cody's talking about Scarefest. Yeah,
I would go if there was like a big meetup of people, just really to see everybody, because a lot of the guests that they have are the same as Horror Hound guests. But I would love to go. Obviously, it's just like, where do you put your money towards?
True. Jamie's going to be there as well, so you gotta
go. Jamie? I might just go to hang out with Jamie.
There you go, Central Bank Center. So yeah, Cody said it's the same place as the Lexington Comic Con.
So I've been there a few times. Dude, if you go, let me know. Jamie, if you're going, let me know. I'll start keeping track of who all's going, and maybe me and the missus can go and have a meetup, and we can all call Davey on FaceTime and go, "Hi, Davey.
Wish you were here, loser."
Wish you were here.
I know. I wish I were closer. It's a kind of a haul for me to get out to Kentucky, but
that's a plane trip for sure, brother.
Yeah, and I'll be like hanging out at Mad Monster this July, so I'll be able to at least get a little bit of horror convention in here this summer.
Now, where's Mad Monster at for you?
That's going to be in Glendale, which is it's just basically west of Phoenix, but it's it's Phoenix.
Because there's a lot of different things, and like I know there's a couple of different Mad Monster type situations. I always wanted to go to Texas Frightmare. It seems like super huge now, and some people I've seen, like Plant CHH just came up to like the Full Moon Convention in Tennessee, I believe it was. He went to met up with Pizzal, if I remember that correctly. But he used to go to Full Moon. He was saying it was like getting overblown, but like I always wanted to go to that. That was like, it just seems so cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to go to all of them, because every single, especially horror conventions. Like I worked Wizard World Comic Con for a little bit, but all the horror conventions, it's like going to church. It's just the best people and the funnest times. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to Mad Monster. I don't, of course, this big time celebrities that are there. Who knows if I'll be able to meet all of them? But it's a great opportunity to hang out with everyone, like from the community that's out here in the Phoenix area. And
I was mad I didn't get to go to the last Lexington Comic Con that they just had, because I didn't realize it until the last minute. Somehow it passed by me. To quote Mallrats, how did this get by me? I must be sleeping in my old age. There was a freaking, that one of my favorite shows is Wings, right? I always talk about Wings.
Yeah.
There was a
Wings. Always talk about Wings. Wings and friggin' Christian Slater. And what was the other one?
Cuffs, Christian Slater, Wings, and Entourage. I mentioned a lot.
Entourage.
Somehow they got Joe and Brian Hackett back together, and Helen's sister was there, and you could get a group shot with them. I was like, imagine me in the middle of the Hackett brothers being like, "This is the greatest day of my life."
There you go. That's all you need,
So if Scarefest can re-get a Wings reunion and include like Lowell or somebody, oh, dude, or Tony Shalhoub, God forbid, I'd fly for Tony Shalhoub. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't even know if he does. I'm sure that Thomas Hayden Church would do some sort of appearances, since he played the Sandman a couple of times.
Yeah, and think about it. He was in the Tales from the Crypt movie. He was in what was that? Demon Knight. Yeah, he was in Demon Knight.
Yeah.
But also, Tony Shalhoub, not only is he Monk, he was in 13 Ghost remake. So
there
get
you go.
him and Matthew Lillard at a convention together and do like a 13 Ghost reunion. Dude, they're leaving money on the table here. I'm just saying.
You heard it here, folks. Get Tony Shalhoub to the horror cons. That's the
Tony
way to
Shalhoub
make more money.
Is the OG. I'm just saying.
And Matt Arnett says, speaking of CHH, I think he's going live later tonight also. Well, I'll have to check that out. I always love Christian's lives. That's a guy that I would love to kick it with. Because I'm a big music guy as well. I know you are also, Paz. Like I would love to just jam out with him. And Pat, that Halloween movie collector, another musician in the community as well. The older you get, the tougher it is to find people to rock out with. So it's super cool to see that he's still got his band going. And I'd imagine all those songs he does for his channel, he just records them all himself, right? He probably just programs the drums. And
I think his brother does the drums on some. Did you ever hear their Saturday Night by the Misfits cover? Like, he's fantastic on it. He does the.
I don't know, but I love that song. I'm the Michael Graves era of the Misfits. I really enjoy that Michael Graves era. That Famous Monsters album is awesome, and Saturday Night's one of the best Misfits songs. I'm just gonna say it. And I think Forbidden Zone is one of the best Misfits songs.
I say it all the time. Oh God, that first Misfits with Graves album,
American Psycho.
Pound for pound, top to bottom, classic album. No skips. But some of the better songs are on Famous Monsters. It's just that's not one that I always don't skip, because there's a couple tracks I'll skip over. So, but dude, you can't beat Saturday Night. That's like the classic Michael Graves.
It is like the Righteous Brothers playing a pop punk song. Like, that's what it reminds me of. Like, it's got that. It's really got that 50s, 60s vibe. It's put on a suit or a sweater and croon the night away kind of song.
And then you got the George Romero video for Scream. That's classic.
Yeah, because they were in Bruiser and he shot that video, like, I think right around that same time. And George, we got to get another George movie on here. We have a lot to line up here, Foz.
Dude, I would do a George movie anytime. I always liked Martin a whole lot.
Martin is so good. Yeah, guys, if you're in the chat and you like George A. Romero movies and you've not seen Martin, I think that's his best movie that's not a zombie movie, or at least it's my favorite of his non-zombie movies. The editing in Martin is really good. John Amplis, who plays the kind of dorky looking scientist in Day of the Dead, like, he's the star of Martin. He does a really good job. That movie's a really interesting examination of vampirism, and probably one of the most unique, like, vampire movies I've ever seen. Martin. Thank you for bringing
I just got the notification.
I
just got the notification that Plant CHH is going live in a half hour. So I want you guys to do us a favor. Go on there and tell Christian that Movie Punk sent you. I know you're going there anyways, but just tell him Movie Punks at Davey Deathray's channel sent you over there, and that we say hey, and we gotta do like a music episode.
Yeah, there you go. We can maybe have him on as a guest sometime for a punk rock kind of movie. So yeah, guys, make sure to check out Planet CHH and check out that awesome stream. It's always a fun time kicking it with him. He's the most like chill kind of dude. When I had him on Late Night with the Davey, I'll tell this story and hopefully it comes across as well-meaning as possible. So I had him on Late Night with the Davey. Love his channel. He's always so sweet when I was in the chat and everything. He was on one of the first episodes, and when he first came on, I was sort of like, it was like, oh, this guy's he's not warming up to me really quick. He sort of was like seeing if I could like rise to the occasion and sort of break the ice. And like, so I'm sort of talking to him, like we're chit chatting. He's being like, cordial and everything. But once I started talking about Chevy Chase, he was leaning back at first the whole interview.
Did he have his feet
Chevy
popped
Chase
up or something?
Yeah, and then we start talking about Chevy Chase, and he's like, "All right, this guy's cool. I can be I can like lay on the charm and everything." And I just thought it was like, I kind of liked it because I was like, you know what, that is totally fair. Like, just because somebody asks to talk to you doesn't mean that they're really like worth your time. But I felt like I kind of softened him up a little bit, and if you're a Chevy Chase fan, that's a great way to get into somebody's heart for sure.
One of my favorite people in the world is Cody, dude who loves movies, and of course, we've done stuff with him before on here, and I love Cody to death, and he's become like a regular popping up on on Christian's live streams now, and he's just so funny on there. I love those two together playing off of each other.
Oh, they're great. Yeah, Cody is. I love that when he does his like Irish accent, like all that stuff for like St. Patty's Day, and it just sounds like Miss Cleo. Like that is one of the funniest things. Yeah, dude, Cody from Dude Who Loves Movies. That's another great.
We're just here talking about other YouTubers now.
Yeah, we're just talking about it. I do want to let everyone know really quick. There's a link pinned in the chat. If you are digging Movie Punks and you want to check out some of our merch, I did move everything over to Fourth Wall for the merch shop.
Okay,
they've got some really great items. Yeah, there's if you check out the link pinned in the chat, you can check out. That's just for the Movie Punk stuff. So there's there's hats, shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, all that kind of fun stuff. And if there's something that you're not seeing on the shop that you want to see, then hit me up with a DM. My links are in the description below, so you can shoot me a message on Instagram and let me know what you'd like to see there in the shop.
Hey David, let me ask you a question. Is there a mug with our mugs on the mug?
There is. Yeah, there's the version my buddy Cole did a drawing of us where we're all like tatted up and looking really tough. And that's on the mug.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna buy that mug, and for every live stream I'm gonna be like, our mugs.
There you go. Shout out to Kirk Dilly, one of our great channel members who I was actually able to hang out with a couple years ago. He's an old friend of my brother's from way back, and I don't know if they go back to middle school, possibly. But it was really cool to get to kick it with Kirk again. Back in the day, that's how I discovered things like Monty Python and the Holy Grail, was like watching it with my brother and his friends. So really appreciate you. And he's throwing a little real genius quote here at us. So there you go.
Another one of those subtle lines where he's like, take your time. What's taking so long?
Yeah, just that really cool, dry kind of, straight humor. I love it. We've praised Real Genius all night. I could keep on saying it, but you got to check it out. Big Rod says, get your hats before I buy them all. Looks like Matt and Kirk met in 8th grade. There you go. Favorite movie of Val Kilmer's? What's your favorite, Foz?
Real Genius.
Yeah,
Real
that's
Genius,
your favorite?
hands down. Yeah, definitely.
It's, I'm still so fresh to this one. I love him in Top Secret. I think like his best, so I'll say this, his best dramatic performance, I'll say Salton Sea. I love him in the Salton Sea.
Classic. Yeah. And
then I'll say as far as comedy, I'm a Top Secret guy, but maybe the more I watch Real Genius, then maybe I'll flip on over to Foz's side. Matt, yes, I have had Daniel on from the Cobwebs channel. He was on Late Night with the Davey. I would love to bring him on for something else like a watch party, though. I think that would be really fun. Matt uses that line on his kids all the time. That's fucking great. Love to hear it. Let's see here. We are coming up here on an hour and a half, guys, so we'll probably call it at that. I think we've said so much about Real Genius and talked about Val Kilmer's career and all that sort of great stuff, paying him tribute. And we talked so much that now we're shilling for other YouTubers. So I guess it's time to hang up the hat for the evening. Jamie, really quick, I do want to get this one in here. She says, I like Bad Boy Val, so it's The Doors and Wonderland for me. There you go. She's biting her lip just thinking about it. But yeah, guys, Movie Punks is going to be back on, what is it? Did we decide May 23rd, I think?
Sure. Let's go with that.
Friday, May 23rd. That's the Friday after my birthday. So I'm really looking forward to that one. We're going to have a couple special guests, and we'll put together a thumbnail. I'm not going to say anything to spoil it, but I'm really excited about the guests and the film that we have on tap for you guys.
Yeah, dude, whenever you start putting that together, I was like, well, this sounds cool. And it just came together. I was like, wow, this is going to be actually like really awesome. Like, I was like, I'm super down.
Yes, no, it's gonna be a special one for sure. Shout out to our guy Eli Cortez, one of our great Death Squad mods and channel members, saying what's up to everyone. Eli, we're wrapping it up, but you can always scrub it on back. And yes, thank you again, Eli. Don't forget to hit that like button, everyone. Subscribe to this amazing channel and consider becoming a member of the mighty Death Squad for some sweet perks, including tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to do a 90s horror movie trivia for members only, folks. So go ahead and hit that notification bell. I'm sure if you're a member that maybe it automatically does that for you, but that'll be tomorrow at 3 p.m. And I think I'm going to do like a lunchtime kind of live tomorrow where we're going to talk about the Crystal Lake TV show, because they just announced that they're finally going into production 6 months after hiring the new showrunner. So I want to kind of have a chat with you guys and look at a realistic timeline, because I still have my concerns and my doubts. But I'll try to be as positive as I can. But that'll be tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that, guys. I'll go ahead and share it once I have it ready. Foz, do you have anything coming up on your channel?
If you like Star Trek,
like crazy?
Boy howdy, do I have some Star Trek stuff for you. I have, and I don't know why it's just become this way. As you see behind me, I've got my first two shelves behind me. This is all Blu-rays and 4Ks on this shelf, but I've had so much Star Trek stuff. One day I just started making Star Trek shelves out of it, and then like I started just doing Star Trek stuff on Blue Sky, and then I was like, well, I'll make a couple Star Trek TikToks, and now it's like become a whole thing. And I love horror, I love movies, I love punk rock, I love all this. But if I could do movie punks, with my boy Davey over here, that covers that for me. And in the meantime, I'll be over here talking about Picard and Guinan and everybody. I'm doing a big Star Trek rewatch in general, which is what always brings my inspiration. Right, and it's by air date. I don't know if I talked about this on here, but like one of the big projects I have going on in my life is I'm up into like the mid 300s right now of episodes of Star Trek where I'm watching by air date, literally from the first episode that ever aired, not the Cage, not the pilot, because that didn't come till like the 80s, but like from the first episode that aired, every episode by air date. And I just got through all the TNG, Deep Space Nine, TNG, Deep Space Nine. You'd have to alternate, episodes depending on which one came next. I just watched Generations because TNG went off the air. I'm on a couple episodes of Deep Space Nine before Voyager starts, and now I'll be Voyager, Deep Space Nine. So for all you, Star Trek fans, you know what I'm talking about. This is like prime time, baby. And I get, so I'll come across like a episode of TNG where Troy and Worf were being put together, and I'll do like a video being like, "What'd you think of Troy and Worf?" And like it gets a lot of traction. People love talking about that stuff. So I've just kind of found like a little Star Trek niche that I've been doing a lot of TikToks and stuff on.
Oh yeah, awesome.
So join me in talking Star Trek.
There you go. And for everyone watching after the fact, I don't think I have the TikTok link in there right now. But if you're watching after the fact, or if you can just look them up. Foz Rotten. That's the way to go. So yeah, guys, I'll be back tomorrow. I might put a little watch party together for the weekend, and then I've got some fun stuff coming up for next week. There's going to be another Start Bench Cut episode live with Matt Facci of Facci Cinema. That's going to be on Monday. And then on Wednesday, we've got Nick from the Lost River Drive-In popping in on Late Night with the Davey. We're going to do a live watch party of Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, as part 1 of our halfway to Halloween celebration. And then, that's one of his favorites. So I'm going to see if he can convince me to not be bored to shit. And then on Thursday, as the second part of our halfway to Halloween celebration, we're going to have Barry from Wolfman's Got Nards for a live watch party of Halloween H2O.
There you go. I remember seeing that in theaters.
Yeah, me too. So I'm super pumped for what we got coming up next week. All those streams are listed on the channel, guys, so you can go ahead and set the notifications and everything. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow.
Have real fast, have you done a Halloween 6 Curse of Michael Myers one?
I don't think I have, but I like that one quite a bit.
I will put a dibs on that if you ever want to do that, or a Movie Punks episode of that, because that's my probably my favorite of all of them is part 6. It has a very grunge feel to it. The soundtrack's awesome. I think we could do a Movie Punks out of that, honestly.
You probably could, especially if you're going theatrical version for sure. Usually these days I watch the producer's cut because it feels a little more like the original movie to me. But I understand the theatrical is way more punk rock for sure. No worries, King Matthew. You can always catch it on the replay for sure. Yeah, I'm a big Curse fan. I like the way Michael looks. I like how brutal he is. Not everything works in Curse, but I like quite a bit of it for sure. I mean, they were kind of put in a corner there with the whole Thorn thing. They had to do something with Thorn and something with the Man in Black. So, you know, they worked with what they got. They didn't do the shopping for the groceries, but they had to cook the meal, as they say. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up here for us on this return episode, epic return of Movie Punks. It's been so much fun chatting with you guys about Real Genius and Val Kilmer's career, paying him a bit of a tribute here. And we'll be back May 23rd. So until then, he's been Foz Rotten, and I've been and will continue being Davey Deathray. Take care.